I want to thank you all for being here today. Last week was wonderful. We ended up with about 75 people here, and I had a lovely time. You got to meet people who rent space from us here, and what the CCL is not just a church, but it's also a healing center. Yes, Patty?
I wanted to say, when I drove in on VTA today, I could hear the choir as we turned, and it sounded like a choir of 30. I mean, the driver said, "You've really got a big choir, don't you?" It's only about 9 or 10. He says, "Boy, they have loud voices." So I just thought, and he said wonderful voices.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I thought the same thing when I drove in. My window was open and I heard, and it sounded so much bigger. Just, yeah.
Well, when you sing filled with spirit, it fills you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and it's so nice to have you back in.
Thank you.
Last week was all of getting ready and doing all the things for Sunday. And I don't know how many times any of you have ever planned a big event and then the letdown afterwards. Well, Monday was go, go, go for me because it was my sister's birthday. And so we went over to Watsonville to do the birthday, and we got back late. And Tuesday morning I woke up and felt angry, frustrated, mad, and just downright yuck. Any of you ever felt that way? Yeah. And so I came into the office and it didn't help. And finally I thought, I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a talk with myself. Well, I didn't. I got home, and I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't use, but I am addicted to chocolate. And there, sitting on my table, what was left of the chocolate cake.
Oh, good.
10 minutes later, there was nothing left.
Wow.
I gorged my little fat face with chocolate to the point of I had to go to bed. But I was still angry. Didn't know why, just not very spiritual. I asked Ma, what's happening? And Ma's my spirit guide. He wasn't going to touch me with a 10-foot pole. And he's in spirit. And I went, whoa. So I went to sleep. And I slept. And I slept. And I slept until the next morning.
Wow. Wow.
Wednesday morning, I woke up with the biggest chocolate hangover I've ever had. You know that feeling of, and I can hardly even put one foot in front of the other. And Ma said, now are you ready? No, I have to do my taxes. I haven't done my 2018 taxes. So I got into my office. It was a hot day. We were having a few earthquakes, might have triggered some of this. Anyway, so I sat down and thought, now I've got to give all my attention to the taxes. I can't think about myself and what I perceive I'm going through. And I felt my nose running. And I looked down, and my hand was full of blood. And it was dripping off my elbow. And I sat there, and I thought, well, I'm really giving somebody my attention. And it kept bleeding and bleeding. And I called Corky, and I said, I don't know what's happening. She said, do you want me to call 911? I said, I don't think it's that bad. But for some reason, on my desk in my office, I had a roll of toilet paper.
Well, it's a shitty job.
And so I went through an entire roll, staunching the blood. And when she came in, she said, oh my God, it looks like there's been a massacre. I had blood on my hands, and my whole nightgown was
Dripping
covered
off your
in blood.
chin, your elbows.
Dripping off my chin, yeah. But it had stopped. And I thought, okay, Spirit, you've got my attention. You know, I felt like the guy who took a boat and a helicopter, when Spirit was trying to save you, and I wasn't giving up. And I stopped. And I said, what do I need to do? And my voice said, you need to pray. I don't want to pray. I want to be mad. I'm enjoying being mad a lot better than praying. Ma said, you want something else to come along? Oh, okay. So I let go of the taxes for that day. And I got into a calm space. And luckily Corky was there to say, what's going on? I said, I don't know. It could be the earthquakes, it could be my blood sugar. She said, have you tested your blood sugar? No. My blood pressure was the highest it's been in 3 years, and my blood sugar was too. So everything was saying, come on now, let's get it together. So I sat down and I started listing all the things that I have, not the things that I don't have.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. And I said, Ma, what is the thing that you need to have to be a spiritual person? And this is where my sermon started, wherever it is, okay? And Ma said, 1, forgiveness, but forgive yourself first. The second is acceptance. Accept yourself for exactly who you are. Not who you think you should be, but who you are right now. And the other thing to do is realize you're never alone. To be a spiritual person, you have to realize that you are just part of God's family, however you see it. And so as I sat there and I thought of all the people I know, and all the beautiful spiritual beings that are in my life, you know, I realized that I was letting everything else take away that joy of being a spiritual person. I was worried about my friends who were moving out of the area. I was really worrying about 3 people last week told me that they were given a year to live. I was worried about everybody else. I was worried about my friends who had gone through surgeries. I was worried about Gregory, who had had a stroke and was in the hospital. I was worried about Corey, who'd had her arm operated on. I can go on and on. I was worried about earthquakes. I was worried about what Annie was doing in Oregon and how her mother was. And I could enumerate all the worries I had, but I realized my worrying about them didn't help them at all. And so far, I'd been sick. I felt like I had a hangover, and I thought I was bleeding to death. And still, I was worrying about other people. And I thought, it's time, Dottie, for you to start taking care of yourself. But it's not the physical, it's the spiritual part that seems to pull everybody down. What good does anger do? How many of you felt a lot better after you got angry? Don't you usually worry about the other person after you get angry? What is it that you do that makes you feel good about yourself? And it's usually helping somebody else, not by yelling and screaming. And so I thought right then, you know, it's time for me to get back into my ministry, which is helping people, trying to find ways to make other people's lives better. And so that's what I finally started to do. And I started writing people and sending cards and looking at myself carefully about who am I and where am I going in my life? Well, then I got to go see the doctor. And she is wonderful. My doctor is a Kaiser doctor. Her name is Dr. Jane. And she is a Jain. That's her religion. And for those of you who don't know, that's almost as old as Hindu. It's one of the oldest religions around. She's into Ayurvedic. And she's just a delightful lady. So Corky and I went in to see the doctor. By the time I got to the hospital to see her, because I go to the clinic in Santa Clara, my blood pressure was 108 over 65. That was what it had been, 184. Now that's in 48 hours of me saying, I'm going to calm down and I'm going to take care of myself. And when I got there, she said, you are doing so well. I thought, you should have seen me on Tuesday. You know? And she said, I'm proud of you. You're doing this and you're doing that. And after my blood test, I'm no longer on metformin. They took me off it because my blood sugars have been so good. Even after eating a quarter of a chocolate cake. But anyway.
At least it was good.
No, I don't know whether it's gluten-free or not, but.
No, it wasn't, it
I'll
was,
tell you what, it was good.
full on, Safeway.
It was good.
But the lesson there was, how can we help other people if we don't help ourselves first? And so many times you hear people say, oh, I can't always think of me. Well, it's not you're always thinking of you, you're thinking of the best of you. That part of you that shines. Not that part of you. You don't want people to know whether or not you're wearing dirty underwear. That has nothing to do with it. You want people to see your shiny self. And your shiny self is when you can connect to spirit. And you can let that spirit flow through it. How many of you are a spiritual being? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you know everybody in here? Yeah, Amanda, good for you. Okay, but what I want you all to do right now is stand up. Come on, you can do it. And turn around and about 4 or 5 people just shake their hands, tell them your name and say, I am a spiritual being.
Hello. Hello.
I'm a spiritual being. Nice to meet you.
You too, Paul.
Shake hands, guys.
And if you do more than 4, that's fine.
I suppose, Somebody that I know.
Spiritual being, Janet.
You're spiritual.
Hey, good morning.
I'm a spiritual
Yes, you are.
That's perfect. Welcome. I'm Cheryl. You guys are crazy.
I'd like it to bring it to my mom.
I won't see one.
27th is right.
I'll bring it with me in my heart. I also have a latke layer
Oh, I love it.
and a chef out.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Everybody could be seated.
From last Sunday, the booklet saying.
Everyone could be seated and know, now that you realize you're a spiritual being, the next step is to stay in faith. When my faith slipped, I was lost. Faith needs to be in place. And it isn't something you go in and out of. It's like your foundation. Think of the faith that you have, the faith that you have in yourself, because it means trusting you. Faith means trusting you and trusting yourself. And it's such an essential part of your character. Without faith, what else do you have? You get them at the morning eater, you feel lost. So get into faith. Because what happened is I had lost my sermon this morning. I found a sermon that says, how to evolve yourself spiritually. It just appeared. Wasn't the one I wrote today. I have no idea where it came from, but here it is. Faith is your reach extending beyond your grasp, for you must reach beyond your understanding, beyond what you can conceive and imagine. Faith evokes the humorous anecdote. If you knew what an epiphany was, it wouldn't be one. One of my greatest teachers is a Baha'i writer, and his name is, see what happens? William Sears, and he wrote God Loves Laughter. And it's an amazing book, and it talks about what would it be like if we didn't have laughter. Laughter is one of those most amazing things that it comes along with faith. It comes along with being able to laugh at yourself. So as you live in spirit and you live in faith, you awaken your highest sense of perception. And know that sometimes perceptions do not work the way we want them to. My perception of me on Tuesday was not who I really am. But they work much more like the five senses. Our perceptions are a little awkward or confusing, but if you trust them, they'll work for you, just like your eyes. They might not feel like they're doing what they should, but they can be, and you can work with it. So you're seeing, you're feeling, you're hearing, all those perceptions. Honor them. They are fantastic, but the best is to honor faith. I want to do a quote from Richard Jalusich. It says, prayer and meditation without faith is just thinking. Be aware that you are a faithful, spiritual, kind, loving, peaceful human being. And every time you forget it, eat a piece of chocolate cake, but that can't hurt. And this is a time that Ma said, well, now that I've got you straightened out, what does anybody else want to know? So if anybody else has a question they'd like to ask my spirit guide, please raise your hand. And I'll call on you, Henny.
How long till I need to head back up to Oregon?
So,
My guide says it's in November.
Couldn't hear the question.
How long, when
What
does
was
she
the
need to
question?
be back up to Oregon? And my guide says November.
At the beginning of November, because I don't think she'll make it through Thanksgiving.
Yeah, in November you'll be going back.
Okay, so this month I'll be making my plans and I'll be
Yeah.
moving towards that. Thank you, that's what I thought. Thank you,
Okay,
Mom.
yes.
Information.
What is your question?
When am I gonna move and where am I gonna move to?
You can only get one.
Oh,
One question.
okay.
And one of the things I wanted to say is, please don't follow me around after church and ask more about what the answer was. I had that happen last time I did this, and people they want to know more. Trust me, after I give you the answer, as Ma says, I'm a Teflon funnel. It goes through me and I don't remember what I said. So, and what my guide says is, you're not ready to move yet. And he says, and the reason you're not is exactly why you ask where. Once you find where, you will be ready to move there. And he says the where is not that far away, because he says you can get there by automobile. It's not somewhere you have to fly to. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Amanda?
Am I going to make it to the Gala Festival this summer?
Ma says it's gonna take a lot of money. And what you should start doing is mention every Sunday what you're doing and why you think it's important for people to fund you. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, because if you can sit and pray for it, But what happens when you also, with prayer, you add the request? It works a lot better. Because my God says this would be a beautiful opportunity for you. Yeah, sure.
What is something important I need to know?
How wonderful you are. That was the very first thing Ma said. Oh, how wonderful.
What was the question?
What is it she needs to know? Yes, Jill.
Here, Jill.
Is there anything or anyone in particular I should be looking for when I go to Uganda?
When you go to where?
Uganda.
Oh, Ma says there's a deep connection with your soul. This is a place where you have spent some time in a previous lifetime. So when you get there, look for here we go, Ma. He says, it's not the things you were planning on seeing, it's the insignificant thing you notice. He's going to remind you of when you were there before. Okay, Joan.
I'm concerned about Earl's health.
Well, Earl's health right now, in both mental and physical, is starting to fail. And you and he need to have conversations about how is he feeling, and listen to what he says. And Ma says also listen to what he doesn't say. He needs some support. This is a difficult time for him. Okay. Yeah, we can talk on that one later. Okay. Yes, Christine. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a Chris, but in the back. Yes.
What's the most important thing for me to be focusing on right now?
Well, getting another job is important, but also your health is very important. So you've got two things here. And Ma says you can work on your health while you're looking for a job. Okay, but it's hard to have a hard pressure job and work on your health. Okay, this Chris. Oh,
Christine?
I didn't have a
No question.
right down here, this Chris. She's bringing you microphone, Chris.
Oh.
Christine.
Do-do-do-do-do.
She wants it to be, so it's on tape.
I'm wondering if I'm gonna have a long life.
Ma won't tell you when you're gonna leave it, because Ma says that's really up to everybody. It's more up to us than we realize. Quick little thing that Ma says, if you ever wanna leave this plane, you can do it in 3 days. Isn't that interesting? All you have to do is shut down. And he said that every one of us come in with the knowledge of how to do that. So, but what he says is that you've got a lot more years ahead of you. But put the life in the years, not just the years in your life. Okay.
I like that.
Anybody else? Yes, Marie.
I'm curious whether I need to go back to Canada soon or not. Because
Can't hear.
We can't hear you, the mic's not on.
Speak into it.
I'm curious about whether I need to go back to Canada soon because of my father.
Well, this is a really complicated one. Ma says if you go back to Canada, it's not just going to be your father. There's some anger in Canada that you're going to be hitting head on. And is that something you're ready for? And he says, don't go back until you're strong enough to combat what this anger is. Okay, Paul.
I'm very concerned about David. He's been gone for a while from church, and I haven't seen, of course I haven't seen him last week, but I keep in touch. I'm hoping he's ever going to be back at church.
He's going to be back at church, but he's going to need. It's almost daunting for him when he thinks about catching the bus and coming up. So it feels like that if somebody lives close enough to help him with a ride, we would have him back at church. Okay? Yes, Lisa.
What would be the best thing for me to do to find a stronger sense of direction for
Okay.
personal fulfillment?
Ma says that you have a lot of things that you did when you were younger that really fulfilled you, and he says for some reason you disowned them. And it's time for you to pick up some of the things that you've had prior and reinvestigate it. Because times have changed and you'll find that those are the things that really energize you. Okay? Yes, Maria?
When do I gonna be able to take vacation?
When are you, what?
Take vacation.
Vacation.
When are you gonna be able to take a vacation? Whenever you want to. Yeah, and the reason I say that is because you have family issues that are holding you here. Okay? And if you just say, I don't care about the family, you could leave. But if you care about the family, then we don't see that you're going to be leaving until next year for vacation.
Thank you.
Yes, Patty?
What path does Ma think I should be taking right now?
Ma said that right now, you need to be meeting some more people that you feel are on the same path you're on. Ma says you have a lot of people that you know, but a lot of them aren't following the same path you are. Okay?
Can you expound on that a little bit more or not?
What? That's it.
That's it.
Teflon funnel here. Yes, Minnie?
I'm concerned about the direction of Magic's health.
What Ma says is that so is Magic.
Yeah.
She's concerned about her health, and Ma says she needs to find a way to see herself as healthy.
Yes.
Because right now she's in pain, and I don't know how many of you realize this, when you're in pain, it's hard to see yourself healthy.
Yes, it is.
So if you can get a picture of her when she was about 45,
Oh, boy.
in a bathing suit looking hot,
You betcha.
okay. Let's see if that doesn't help. And tell her she can get back there, but she can't if she feels sorry for herself.
Let's all go to the Tiffany Center and swim. Swim
Okay.
away health.
I want to thank you so very. Oh, Mel, did you have something?
I was wondering if there's anything that I need to
Oh, now that's, yeah, there's a lot of things you need to know.
know. Anything in particular?
One thing is,
Yeah, Ma says you're doing pretty good on your diet, but you're not following it like you should if you want to stay on it. He can go on this way. He can say, you know, you like where you're living, but for some reason you're not too happy with something that's going on the land where you are. See, it's that type of thing. He says, really what you need to know right now is the work you do is very, very good, even though there's a person there that drives you crazy. Would you please stay with the job because you're really honored by people there. Okay, yes, Andrew.
And I'd like to ask about my living situation. This involves Paul because he's staying with me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, and so it's kind of for Paul, is there anything that he could be doing for through his living situation?
Oh, there's lots of things. And you just have to start calling every phone number you can find, go online, find out the services, call. There are services that are being offered all around right now, and you just got to be persistent. I'd say if you're not calling 25 people a day, you're not working on it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a lot of calls to make tomorrow, so I have numbers for, so.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, thank you so very much. And at this point in time, we're going to hear from the choir.
Yay, Mom! Thank you, Mom!